ABC 10 News at 4 starts now.
11,000 lightning strikes in 3 days. Historic storms are behind hundreds of wildfires tearing through California right now. Good afternoon, I'm Kimberly Hunt. In Northern California, the LNU lightning complex fires exploded to nearly 50,000 acres in Napa, Sonoma, and Solano counties. At least 100 structures have burned. The La Honda fire, also sparked by lightning, is 0% contained in San Mateo, as well as Santa Cruz counties, growing to more than 10,000 acres. 367 fires are burning across California. Right now, every county in the Bay Area is on fire except for San Francisco. And the governor says our resources are getting stretched thin. ABC 10 News reporter Jennifer De La Cruz explains the new partnership with other states aimed at getting these fires under control.
California on fire, battling natural disasters amid an energy crisis and a global pandemic. Governor Gavin Newsom announcing Wednesday the request for out-of-state resources to help fight the battle. Engines and crews from Arizona, Nevada, and Texas on track to assist with the 367 fires currently burning in the state. In addition to a prolonged heat wave with record-breaking temperatures, the governor attributes the cause in part to more than 10,000 lightning strikes in the past few days.
Putting everything we have on these fires, they're stretched all across the state of California, and we're now getting the support of some of our partners in the western United States, and for that, again, we're very grateful.
On Tuesday, Newsom declared a statewide emergency, securing federal resources to get these fires under control. This year, the California legislature approved more than $72 million to bring on hundreds of seasonal firefighters for this very reason.
830 of those 858 have already been brought on. This just over the course of the last few weeks.
The heat also putting a strain on California's power supply. Newsom hoping the peak of that strain is almost over.
Tonight, we believe in the immediate is the last night. We really need everybody to do everything in their power to flex their power use, power consumption.
Jennifer De La Cruz, ABC 10 News.
The governor is asking residents to reduce their power consumption through 9 o'clock tonight. So let's go straight to meteorologist Angelica Campos. She's tracking this dangerous heat wave live from home. Hi, Angelica.
Hi, Kim. Not just the heat wave, also the humidity, the thunderstorms. We literally have everything all at once, and this has been a long-lasting heat wave. So right now what you're looking at on satellite and radar is actually some of the activity we've seen over the last couple of hours. We did have a couple of thunderstorms in the county, but this is what it looks like right now as we just kind of pause it into the current conditions. Just a few leftover showers near Borrego, Mount Laguna, but otherwise much drier around the county. That influx of moisture coming from both directions, from the southeast and the southwest, as another tropical system gets involved and kind of joins forces to make things even more uncomfortable around the county. Currently 94 degrees in Ramona. Although conditions are starting to look a little bit better for coastal communities, we're still under an excessive heat warning. We'll have much more coming up in our 7-day forecast.
We're still waiting on a comprehensive COVID-19 vaccine distribution plan. Meanwhile, Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security released an ethics framework today for who it says should get priority. Now, there are 2 tiers of groups it says should go before the general public. No surprise, frontline healthcare workers taking care of COVID patients, people over the age of 65, and those with underlying health conditions and their caregivers. Also noted are people who work in the vaccine industry and will be administering them, and school, food, supply, and public transportation workers. Now, one issue with that first tier is that, frankly, it's a lot of people, more than 90 million by some estimates.
So it's quite possible that when vaccine is first available, there won't be enough for everybody in this top tier. And so there may need to be prioritization within this top tier.
The Tier 2 group includes other healthcare workers, people living in remote locations without access to quality care, other essential workers like delivery, military, and first responders. It also includes people who live in places where they can't socially distance, so inmates and people in shelters. The framework also mentions that this is a decision that shouldn't only be made by experts and officials.
the public needs to be engaged. They need to have an opportunity to weigh in this because, after all, they're the ones who are the recipients of the vaccines, and whether they get it or not.
The good news is the scholars don't see cost as a barrier to the vaccine. And while a vaccine is the best hope for controlling the pandemic, it will not be a magic bullet right away.
If we have a vaccine sometime this winter that's authorized, it will be many months before everybody has access to it.
Now, some decisions about who gets the vaccine first can't be made until one's ready, because you need to know how it may impact groups like the elderly or pregnant women. Now, another issue with vaccine development is minorities may be underrepresented. Government estimates shared with CNN show that so far, Black and Latino people only make up about 15% of vaccine trial participants. Moderna, the first company in the U.S. to conduct a phase 3 clinical trial, is on track to finishing enrolling its 30,000 participants sometime next month.
And new at 4 o'clock, 7 San Diego private schools have been approved for waivers that allow kindergarten through 6th grade classrooms to reopen. Approved waivers are the only way to reopen for in-person learning until San Diego stays off the state watch list for 14 consecutive days. We officially came off that watch list yesterday. Each has a rigorous reopening plan posted on the school website. Reopening dates will be up to each individual school. 92 schools have applied. And we're possibly days away from getting more information about businesses being able to reopen indoor operations.
The governor today alluded to the fact that the guidance around indoor operations that were closed, the guidance will be shared and solicited with our public health officers over the course of the weekend to get feedback and input. And next week we should expect some framework around what that would look like.
Well, county leaders say this does not mean that everything will reopen next week, but they are working with the state to get guidance on next steps. And they remind San Diegans to continue to remain vigilant, to keep the local number of coronavirus cases low in order to help our county stay off the state's monitoring list. And now to a deadly crash near Lindbergh Field. Police say a man driving south on Harbor Drive hit a truck and slammed into a light pole. The pole fell across the road. Drivers jumped out to give the man CPR, but he died at the scene. Traffic to the airport was backed up for hours. Harbor police say speeding may have been a factor. No word on the condition of the driver who was hit. Day 3 of the Democratic National Convention will make history. Tonight, California Senator Kamala Harris will become the first woman of color to formally join a major party's presidential ticket. She is expected to set out her vision for the nation and make a case for electing Joe Biden president. Senator Elizabeth Warren is also expected to speak. You can watch Night 3 of the Democratic Convention right here on ABC 10, starting at 7 o'clock tonight.
Pharmacists in all 50 states will be allowed to give vaccines to children. Health and Human Services says it's to prevent outbreaks of preventable diseases among kids, and a CDC report found that vaccinations for children plummeted in March and April. That's right when the pandemic was setting in. 22 states will lift these restrictions on pharmacists in the fall. Now, states across the country have been taking a closer look at wastewater to better understand how coronavirus spreads. Now, the CDC and Health and Human Services are making a national database for the information. Experts say data from wastewater testing gives a more efficient community sample. It will give timely data for communities where testing is not available. Now, government grants were supposed to help college students struggling financially during the pandemic, and some are still waiting.
It makes you wonder, are there people who really would have been helped who didn't get the necessary support from their schools?
What's holding up that money?
And also ahead, concerned homeowners call it a broken promise.
It's just gotten to the point where I'm afraid now. I mean, people could trip. It's become sort of a hazard.
Why the city is still charging repair fees for dangerous sidewalks around San Diego.